And now from McAllen City Hall, a meeting of the McAllen City Commission.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's City Commission meeting. We'll begin a Pledge of Allegiance and followed by invocation by Commissioner Sebi Haddad.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your heads. Lord, thank you for blessing our great city, this region, and all its leadership. Remind us that we are servants to the community and ensure that we make wise and just decisions. Allow your grace to uphold our actions and words to what is moral and rational. And finally, we thank you for blessing our city manager with his first grandbaby, Emilia Noel, and we pray for years of laughs and lots of love. Amen.
Amen. Grandpa. And we have two individuals that have signed up for some items. We have Patrick Taylor regarding fireworks ordinance. Yes, sir.
Sir, you can come forward.
Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Patrick Taylor. I'm the Director of Operations for the Sabron Restaurant Group. We have La Costa Grill, we have La Uno here in McAllen. And what I'm here about is we would like to have a fireworks demonstration at our restaurant. It's a sparkler curtain for the outside of our building. We're on the second floor. It is completely outside. There is no inside fireworks at all. It is a cold spark system, and that means that there is no flammable or extra flammable materials involved in this. It's an electrical system. It has a powder that is put into each of the systems. There will be 8 to 9 outside of our window. It is all electrically controlled, computerized. The spark from that, or the sparkler from that, is only 62 degrees Fahrenheit. It is 80% smokeless. Back in my generation, you had the hand sparklers and you would light them. That was 1,200 degrees. But in the system that you have now that we have, it is 62 degrees. You could basically put your hand on the system. You would get not burned or anything like that. Very safe system. I have been in the restaurant business for 46 years, and I have never had an OSHA problem. I have never had any kind of safety violation at all. I can pledge to you, as the owner of the company, Mr. Edgar Sabron knows, we are a very safe company. And I would like to be able to do that at this location. I have talked to the fire marshals, and they have kind of talked me through. I know that we will need a pyrotechnics license, and I'm going to get that along with the managers involved at La Uno. So that is what I'm here for, and I would appreciate your consideration on that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We have David Sanchez regarding a conditional use permit.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Hello. My name is David Sanchez. I am an attorney here in McAllen. I'm Chief General Counsel for the 76 Group, which owns 76 Bar and Kitchen on Nolana, and 2 upcoming projects that are going to be open in the next year. Currently, 76 has an item on this agenda for their conditional use permit that they're asking the city to renew. And as General Counsel and Risk Management Overseer, I wanted to just share some of the things that 76 does proactively as a neighbor, as a good neighbor, as a good member of the community in support of their application. 76 proactively has hired the help of an outside consulting firm of experts in the area of sound design, sound engineering, and sound consulting. This company is out of Dallas, and the name escapes me right now, but they are experts, and they consult companies such as the ones that own Wrigley Field, Twins Field, different stadiums, and places where the sound interacts with the environment. And we've done that because of, as you know, 76, as you may know, 76 exists on Nolana near 4th Street and 6th Street in the popular shopping district that is there on Nolana. And, in order to be good neighbors, we've hired this company to go out and do sound testing, one right outside our front door and two in the neighborhood we're our neighbors with, to ensure that the sound pollution or the emissions from our bar are such that they don't impede with the life and the enjoyment of these of our neighbors and their property. And as well as that, we undertake at least $300,000 every year to employ security, valet parking, and off-duty law enforcement officers to ensure that our facility and our reach and our curtilage is taken care of. There's 156 employees that work and families that are represented by 76. And I thank you for your time as I launch my support.
Thank you so much. Okay, and now we have a presentation for the GFOA Budget Award.
Oh, good. Mayor, this is going to be quick, but it's very important, certainly for me and for the city manager's office, to recognize this group of people from the budget department. Every year, the Government Finance Officers Association decides who receives this distinguished budget presentation. And as you probably know, the city of McAllen continuously gets it, and it's because of the work that Angie and all of her staff does year-round. You know, obviously, you all go through the most intense part of the budget in August, but this is something that this group of people work year-round. From May, they work with me through July, and then August with you. We pass the budget in September. But these folks ensure that everything that we do is strictly adhering to what you approve in September. And I want to really thank them for all of the work that they do year-round and give them the applause and recognition that they deserve. A few words, Angie? You're never a loss for words, so.
I just want to, it's an honor to receive this award in behalf of the city of McAllen. And I'm also very grateful for all the support that I get from the city manager, elected officials, and of course from all of the departments. I'm grateful also to have my team that does an excellent, excellent job. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Thank you. Angie and the team, we are very extremely proud of you all. And Roy was too kind that you all do the hard stuff. We know you all do it. And at the very end, we go and work it and do whatever we want to do or need to do for and what's best for the community. But the work y'all do is amazing. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Public hearings.
Mayor, Commissioner, we have one item on the routine listed for approval. It's a conditional use permit for 1 year at 2801 Expressway 83. It's also adoption of an ordinance. The Plan and Zoning Commission disapproved it, but have a favorable recommendation for approval.
That was A1.
Yes, Mayor.
Yes.
Okay, anybody here to speak against the item?
Motion to approve.
Do I hear a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Item B.
Withdrawn.
Item B1 has been withdrawn.
Item C.
Item 1C1 is a request for a conditional use permit for a bar and restaurant. It's located at 400 Nolana Avenue, Suites S, T, and R, and it's a request for 1 year and adoption of an ordinance. Property is located on the corner of Nolana and 6th Street. It is commercially zoned and is surrounded by commercial properties as well as residential and AO property zonings. You have a mixture of commercial restaurants, bars, water tower, and residential uses surrounding this particular property. The restaurant, 76 Bar and Kitchen, has been operated for 4 years. However, the sales of alcohol has exceeded the sale of foods, thus the request for a conditional use permit, and this is the first year this item is being considered. It'll continue to operate from a space, the 3 spaces, which is just under 6,000 square feet, has dance floors, dining areas, bar areas, and the second floor for a VIP lounge. It's approximately 400 square feet. Parking requirements are 59, and they are part of the common area. Hours of operation are from Monday through Friday, from 5 p.m. until 2 a.m. Fire and health has inspected the property and is in compliance with code requirements. However, they are within 400 feet of a residentially zoned property and also a public property, which is the water tower on 6th Street and Nolana. The staff has received 3 calls in opposition and a petition consisting of 6% of the surrounding property owners in opposition of the request, with concerns with noise, parking, traffic, as well as trash. Item was considered on the 21st of February by PNC, and there was no opposition present at the meeting. Following discussion, the board unanimously voted to disapprove the request, but with a favorable recommendation to the distance requirements, and there were 6 members present and voting.
Okay, anybody here to speak against the item?
Move to approve.
Second.
Based on staff recommendation, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Thank you so much. Okay, the next one, what do we have?
So next one, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, C2.
C2 item is a request for a conditional use permit for a single-family residence in a commercial zone. It's for life of the use, and it's located at 2220 Beaumont Avenue. Surrounding zoning is C4 in all directions. You do have general business and apartments to the east and west of this location. The existing uses exist automotive service businesses, apartments, as well as single-family homes. The proposal is to construct a 1,300 square foot home on the property with the required parking provided. Inspections will be done by the fire and other departments as needed during the construction and upon completion. Item was considered February 21st by the Planning and Zoning Commission. The applicant was present, and there was one neighbor that appeared in opposition of the request, as he has an existing bar to the east of this location and did not want to have any issues in the future, especially when their permits are being renewed. Following discussion of the item, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to unanimously recommend approval of the conditional use permit with the condition that proper notations be made on the permit and the applicant aware that there is an existing bar located to the east of this location. There were 6 members, 4 voted aye in favor, 1 nay, and 1 was an abstention. The applicant was present and was aware of the concerns of the neighbor.
Anybody against the issue?
I motion to approve.
Well, I have some questions. It's primarily zoning is C4 all around. I mean, he's really going to plant a house among light industrial? And
They are aware of the existing conditions that are there. In lieu of zoning the property and changing it from commercial down to a residential, they chose to go through a conditional use permit. They are aware of the fact that there are uses, including the bar, to the east of them.
I guess the other concern would be, though, is that when you now have a residential within an industrial zone, it could hurt the future of the industrial aspect of it, the business side of it. It's planted. I mean, it's not. There's not residents next to it on either side. That's my concern. I understand the intent, right, in wanting to build a home there. I don't know if the lot, what it was that enticed them to go there. I'm just real weary on if that's a proper place for a standalone house, just a single standalone house. It's not a residential neighborhood at all.
No, it's intended supposedly to be for family members, but you are correct in the sense that it is zoned commercial, C4.
Yeah, and not so concerned with the bar, concerned with most of the area around there's light industrial, warehouse, shops.
We're coming in with the eyes open and with
Yeah, but eventually they have to sell it to someone. And the industrial zone.
No, but when they're not rezoning, they're doing a CUP. When they sell that, the CUP is gone.
With a single family home sitting there.
Yes.
I mean, how do you ever change that?
The C4 starts. No, the C4 stays.
No, I know, but the C4 stays with the improvement of a single family home. So
Yeah, but
you can't turn a single family home into to convert like the rest of the commercial, right? I mean, now you're always pressed to maintain it as a resident. I'm very weary on that.
I'm just concerned also about, I'm sure the developer owner of that lot is aware of the bar. And I'm looking at street view, the backside of the bar is right zero lot line for the property. Are we making an invitation for calls to the police department for nuisance calls or too loud noise, where the current owner of the bar, is going to be subjected to always being under the threat or guise of, well, I want to call it in, it's a nuisance, it's 2:05, you should already close down, I just think it's a slippery slope argument that if you start making a cup for one, you make another cup for another, and then you're opening up yourself to a pre-existing condition or pre-existing property owner that runs a bar being more open to being in violation of some nuisance just because the property owner is a single-family residence, and then could just pick up the phone and make a disturbance call.
Commissioner, I don't think I've ever seen this, at least that I can remember.
It's very unique.
But if the people go in there with their eyes open and they can't be complaining later on, I mean, if somebody else wants to do something and he's the one talking, then no, I don't want a nuisance, I don't want this, and it's going to be up to him, but he's going in with his eyes open.
But mind you, that the property owner or the operator of the bar there is going to have to come back every year to renew that cup for himself, and then he's going to know that if there's a couple of nuisance reports, when the Board of Commissioners gets it, they're going to be there. And we may not be.
But we're assuming that person doesn't like to party at that board. So we're making assumptions. I'm looking at if you have somebody, and this is an area that's a little, it's already developed. There's an industrial. There's this. If somebody wants to go in there and develop. I say let them develop.
But this thing, Mayor, I don't believe that they need to go ahead and do a CUP on the bar because of the residents over there, because the zoning is C4.
Right, the sale of alcohol would trigger the conditional use permit.
Yeah, just the sale of alcohol.
Why?
And that was a concern of the neighbor.
But the commission has knowledge of what went on,
This
whether we're here or
commission does.
not.
This commission
The next
does.
commission will know, because this is something.
That's where the institutional memory comes into play.
It does. And it's not so much the bar even that I was thinking of. I was seeing how much of the surrounding area was commercial and industrial, right? So as those businesses evolve, how likely are they to say, well, I'm not going to go and buy a house. I'm not going to go in near a house, because they drive by and say, I'm looking at leasing the space. As soon as they drive by and say, well, try buy a house, I'm not going to lease there. You start to dissipate, I think, that commercial demand there, right? Or you could hinder
distance from
its
residents.
maybe whatever progress or growth exists around there anyway. That's more of my concern when I saw how much industrial, right? It's not C3, that usually your C2, that's usually a lot more near residential. I just saw all that blue and saw kind of a lot of industrial. But it's just.
It is an uncommon request.
Yeah, I mean, it's very unique, so.
It's up to the commission.
And it looks like it's a hodgepodge of vacant lots, automotive stuff, and then you see a house.
Yes.
Correct.
I've been around that area for all my life. I was raised in South McAllen, and then I had a business on Business 83 and 23rd Street. So all this area, it's been everything from light industrial to some residential to some bars to some everything else, poultry, whatever warehouse there and things like that. There's some houses, maybe not on this street, but in the next to the south, there's houses around there. I don't know why they choose to have one, but it's their choosing. And there is one opposition, but it's a bar there. But I'm not here to oppose them if they want to do it.
Well, it might be their property. It might be the only property they have.
It might be.
Lots are expensive. So if they're going to try to find a lot somewhere and $50,000, they say, well, we have this one here. That's what I'm saying. But they can't come back or saying that there's a nuisance or stuff like that.
The difficulty, because they know
Put
where
that in
they're
the
getting
deed
it.
then. I mean.
Put that somewhere. Put that somewhere, and I'm fine.
Yeah, put it in there. So, I don't know if there was a first or a second.
Yeah, it was a first and a second.
Any other issues, questions, comments?
Brought up my concerns.
I know Commissioner Castillo made a motion to approve. I don't know if there was a second, but just so the record is clear. Okay, thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, what do we have?
This is a public hearing for a variance request.
Okay, this is a variance request to Chapter 6, the McAllen Alcoholic Beverage Code, for a property located at 217 North 16th Street. Property is zone C3, and it's also C3 in all directions. You have commercial, offices, single-family, and triumphant public school within the vicinity. The building permit for 2 buildings on the property has been issued and are under construction. The proposal is to have a kitchen and sale of alcohol beverages from an anchored structure building on the property for a proposed restaurant. The initial permit was disapproved because it's in noncompliance with the Alcoholic Beverage Chapter 6 ordinance. The request requires that the property be more than 300 feet property line to property line from a school, public hospital, or a church. The property is approximately 50 feet catty-corner to an existing Triumph High School, which is located on the street across to the west. The hours of operation for the restaurant and with sale of alcohol is on Tuesdays through Thursdays from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., Fridays and Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 3 a.m., and Sundays from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. It's closed Mondays, and they must comply with the state law and TABC regulations regarding the hours of sale of alcohol. The staff is recommending approval of the variance request since the hours of operation from the school do not overlap or coincide. Checking the website, the school hours on the webpage is from 8 until 5 in the afternoon.
And staff recommends approval.
Yes, sir.
Any questions, comments, or are we still in public hearings? Anybody here against the item? Yes, sir.
My name is Jack Edwards, and I live at 1321 Jasmine Avenue. And before I get negative with you guys or the applicant, I would like to say that the noise levels in our neighborhood, or at least at our house, have improved significantly. There's still issues, but it's a lot better than it was 6 months ago, 8 months ago, a year ago. And I just happened, by coincidence, I was in the neighborhood, and I saw that just an hour ago. And what concerns me is you've got a second floor that's open air. I'm assuming there's going to be loud music going on in that place. And 3 o'clock in the morning, I just found out with the cars leaving there at 3 o'clock in the morning going down the neighborhood. Now, we recently, my wife spends a lot of time in our yard these days, and we've come to know a lot of people. And just this past weekend, we met a man who lives on 16th Street. And he's telling us that he also hears music from 17th Street on occasion, like we do. He also is telling us about cars coming down that street, especially since the stoplight was taken out at 60 miles an hour. I said, well, we have cars here sometimes at 50 miles an hour. His response was, well, I think we have them coming down our street a lot faster. And so the mixture of alcohol, 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, and outdoor music really concerns me. I think you're just going to get more people complaining about music. Now, I admit I probably complain about things more than most people, but that's my concern. I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you, and we'll take into consideration all of them, not just this one, because if it's annoying people, we gotta take a look at it. So, anybody else? Discussion?
Across from the school.
Well, the times are different. I
The
guess
times are
that's why
different,
the P&Z was okay with that. So, do I hear a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
And that's the end of the public hearing. Consent agenda items A through H. Do we need to pull anything out?
Nothing? Move to approve. approve A2H.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carries. Item 3A.
Mayor and Commissioners, 3A is consideration and approval of change order number 1 for irrigation material at La Floresta Park.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. The Parks and Recreation Department is requesting a change order in the amount of $13,468.93 for the purchase of PVC pipe for the main water line connection at this location. The Parks and Recreation Department recommends approval of change order number 1 to Ewing Irrigation and Landscape Supply in the amount of $13,468.93.
Any questions?
Shouldn't that have been something that had been identified by the,
Yes, sir, that was done in-house. That was an oversight. And so we're coming back. We do have the rest of the materials that were purchased prior, but this is just the main line connection to the existing secondary lines.
Excellent.
motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carries. Item B.
B is consideration and approval of change order number 1 for the Quince Avenue and 27th Street drainage.
Mayor and Commission, change order number 1 will install an inline valve that prevents backflow of stormwater during large events, and the addition of flow will fill to abandon an existing pipe structure found during construction. Staff recommends approval of change order number 1 in the amount of $64,500 with no contract days. It'll remain at 180 calendar days. There is sufficient funds to cover the change request, and we open it up for any questions.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carries.
The next item is consideration and approval of change order number 1 for intersection improvements on 23rd and 10th.
Mayor and Commission, change order number 1 for 23rd Street and Jackson Avenue is for the addition of flex base and subgrade preparation, along with additional sidewalk and curb required to meet field conditions. Staff recommends change order number 1 in the amount of $32,234.80 with an additional 15 calendar days. There are sufficient funds to cover the proposed change order, and we open it up for any questions.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
D is award of contract for the McAllen City Hall canopy and the interior improvements.
Mayor and Commission, we received 3 bids for the City Hall canopy improvement project. The project consists of improving the front exterior lighting and canopy that was damaged, along with interior remodel to secure the front entrance of City Hall. Mildred Architecture and staff recommend award to the lowest responsive bidder, Ariza General Construction of San Benito, Texas, in the amount of $189,573.26, with 100 calendar days to complete. Staff has solicited 3 representative projects from the contractor, as we have not worked with them before. They submitted those to us. Staff checked references, and we do recommend approval of the contract.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
E is award of contract for the 22-23 single machine repaving project.
The City of McAllen continues its maintenance of streets through this project. This year, the project will provide the work needed to recycle and repave approximately 179,000 square yards, or over 8.5 centerline miles of street, plus the repair and base failures. Included for your review is the bid tab, map, and list of roads. Staff recommends award of the contract to the lowest responsive bidder, Cutler Repaving, Inc. of Lawrence, Kansas, for the base bid amount 101 through 108 in the respective total project cost of $1,192,004.75 with 90 calendar days to complete, and we open it up for any questions.
You offered 2 alternatives. Can you just, in layman's terms, describe the difference?
So this process, what they do is they'll take an inch of existing asphalt and then add 1 inch of virgin material. The alternative of that is recycling 2 inches of asphalt and laying that down.
That's it, just the depth?
Just the depth.
Okay. Motion to approve?
Second.
Good. All in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carries.
F is award of contract for the purchase and delivery of type D for the project you just awarded.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
G is award of contract for the purchase of upgrade to Cinemassive video wall display system at the McAllen Police Department 911 dispatch.
Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, we have a video wall system we use at our dispatch center. Actually, we have 3 throughout the network of buildings that we have. This one is for our 911 dispatch center, and it's due for the upgrade. We bought it in 2016. So we ask that you approve a contract to Motorola Solutions in the amount of $53,885.97. We're funding this through our forfeited assets fund.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carries.
G, no, that was G. H is consideration and approval of a license agreement to allow a fence and existing palm trees in the city right-of-way at the proposed Olive Grove Estate subdivision.
Mayor, Commissioner, we did get a request earlier this afternoon that the item be tabled for a future item.
Motion to table.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Item I.
I is consideration and possible approval of an MOU with the McAllen Firefighter Association temporarily increasing assignment pay.
Mayor and Commission, our goal today is to provide a temporary increase in assignment pay pursuant to the 2021-2025 collective bargaining agreement between our city and the Firefighter Association Local 2602. In accordance with Article Number 18, Section 1 of the current CBA, during the fiscal year 23-24, personnel assigned to administration divisions are entitled to receive a 7.5% assignment pay of their base salary and up to 8% for fiscal year 24-25. With the goal to incentivize fire personnel assigned to administrative divisions, a 6-month temporary increase of 10% of base salary is being proposed. The increase may be extended at the sole discretion of the city manager and the fire chief. Staff recommends approval of the temporary increase in assignment pay pursuant to the 2021-2025 CBA between our city and the Firefighter Association Local 2602.
How quickly would this come into effect?
Right now, we're also pending for the union to go through a voting of this MOU. That should be taken care of by next week, I was informed. And so once that is done, it will be just a matter of submitting the personnel action forms applicable to the personnel working in administration.
Roy?
Move to approve.
Yes, sir. So this was part of the discussion that we had last summer in budget, and we're trying to improve inspections from the fire marshal's office, and we agreed that we think this is the best way to handle it. It's to incentivize being in that division. Sometimes it doesn't feel that way to our guys, so we recommend approval.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carries.
Thank you.
J is award of contract for the purchase of float supplies.
Honorable Mayor, City Commission, this is a recommendation for an award contract closeout. These items are under contract and the business has shut down. So basically, they're selling us the inventory at a substantial reduction. We're requesting the approval for the City of McAllen to not to exceed $80,000 as they continue to negotiate and get the final inventory before they sell that to the City of McAllen.
Motion to approve.
Second.
No, we just told them what. All in favor?
Aye.
All against?
Negotiate.
Motion carries.
4A is consideration and approval of an ordinance updating the city's fireworks regulations.
Mayor and Commission, our goal today is to provide alternatives for amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of McAllen, Chapter 50, Fire Prevention and Protection, Article 4, Fireworks. Subsequent to previous discussion regarding fireworks displays, 2 proposed fireworks ordinances are herein presented for City Commission consideration. Option number 1 would permit only city-sponsored events. Option number 2, the highlights are basically, it would permit for private displays, but there will be certain stipulations for those private displays as previously discussed at workshop. The permit fee would be increased to $2,000. These are for the larger displays, weddings and stuff like that, exterior displays. Fee upgrade of $2,000. Qualified professional pyrotechnics will be required to be on site. Of course, it's got to go through the permitting process and so on with the fire marshal's office. The maximum duration allowed for this type of displays will be of 15 minutes, and they would need to be done prior to, before 10 p.m., the day on which the permit is issued. This will be a one-time permit, and one permit would be allowed per month. Now, this particular option, option 2, would also provide concessions for minor displays allowed to provide proper indoor fireworks, also requiring somebody with the pyrotechnics license to be in place. This will be the ones, or this will be the option for, like what we were talking about earlier regarding sparklers indoors. There are a lot of different types of sparklers, so you would also require a permit to make sure that we would be within those parameters. The fee would be $500 a fee, and this permit would be good for a term of 6 months. There are more stipulations in regards to the pyrotechnics professional being on site, personnel with the proper training being on site, but those are the highlights of this particular option. So the final recommendation that staff is proposing to the Commission for consideration would be option number 1, where we would have only city-sponsored displays. And I'm open for any questions.
Questions, comments?
Yeah, about the fireworks that the gentleman earlier commented.
Correct.
That one is he said it was a cold.
Correct. So
kind of sparkle.
That is correct. So even though they are referred to as cold fires or sparklers, there are a lot of different kinds. So it will be very difficult for me to say right now, yes, those are okay or not. That's where, if allowed through the ordinance process, then we would assign an inspector to go out there and verify exactly what it is that they intend to do and be able to categorize it properly to be able to identify what kind of requirements they would have to utilize those type of sparklers.
But option number 2 also, you're putting a restriction that there has to be a pyrotechnician trained, so when they're actually doing it, right?
That is correct.
Every day, I mean, there are many restaurants that are doing them inside.
That is correct.
And what has been the response there? Has there been any problems?
So there has been some concerns from time to time, especially
concerns or problems.
Well, there have been some concerns in terms of fire hazards. Whenever we receive any kind of complaint, we'll send somebody out there to do an inspection on site and see what it is exactly that they're doing. Currently, we don't provide any specific type of permit with a specified fee. That's what we're trying to identify right now. And having somebody that is properly trained and educated is part of the requirements of the state fire marshals to make sure that whoever goes through that training and is certified is there on site to make sure that they are utilizing those the way they're supposed to. A lot of these parameters have been put in place since the fire in 2003 in a nightclub in which 100 people perished. And so those sparklers can fall in a wide range of different kinds, and that is why if we go with option 2, we can go ahead and do the inspection, make sure that they have somebody that is properly trained, and they'll provide the cost of the fee for the permit for 6 months.
Commissioner, may I provide a slightly more direct answer to your question? Under the proposed ordinance, the option 2 would require that the display be held under the supervision of an individual who has completed the fireworks education program offered by the City of McAllen's Fire Department.
Okay.
So that technician would not have to be, with respect to that limited display, outwardly certified, but would have to comply with the fire marshal's training program.
Oh, and we would want that.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to make sure you understood the level of the restriction.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was pretty vocal in workshop, right? I'm all for option 1. Permit only city-sponsored events, plain and simple. But I do think there needs to be a carve-out for, I just don't think of firework displays that are projected into the sky. The biggest concern is the noise, right?
Correct.
The bang it creates. Limiting the time before 10 p.m. really doesn't matter to the dogs if it's only going to be 15 minutes or if it's at 8 p.m. I know there are safety issues, right? But fortunately, we've never had a major incident. I'm just for permits only for city-sponsored events for displays, but we've got to carve out what I think is obviously a trend in what's
Entertainment.
well, I think
Stuff
for
like that.
permanently installed features that are already safe, right? I think a lot of mobile DJs use certain things that are not, they're not. They might sparkle up, or they have some type of display, right? But they're not generating. I think the noise was the biggest complaint that we get from fireworks, right? The disturbance that it causes because of how loud that bang is and how much it resonates through different parts of the city or the surrounding neighborhoods. The stuff they're using at 3 or 4 of the local restaurants, the stuff they're proposing is not going to cause any type of disturbance whatsoever. And while there's a safety concern, I think it can be carved out to where you guys can decide what needs to be met, how you evaluate it and sign off on it, right, as part of their permitting. And then, hey, you can keep this installed and use it whenever you want, right?
That's correct. That will be covered under option 2.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm
so-
for option 1 with a carve out for all the
Yeah, and I agree with.
for restaurants. I mean, they're not
You don't
they're
have
not
to be like,
launching fireworks. I
this
don't know
or
how
this.
you.
It can be a mix of
Okay.
fireworks in the sky to be only for city sponsored events, but with
Yeah,
the
this is for
option
this is for
the-
Ike to write up, but
But time out, what about why can't I have a wedding or a quinceañera and I want to do it? I mean, and that's where we get into the issues, because I understand, if you were to ask me, I love fireworks. I get them and pop them all night. But I also
Outside
understand the
the
safety
limit.
concerns.
Outside the limit.
I understand the safety concerns.
Yeah.
But for us to say only us, we are the city and we make the rules, we make the laws, so you can't do it, it makes it a little difficult too, because there's some.
we're also the only ones that can block off Bicentennial for a parade. So there are things that the
For
city can
the community.
do for the community, as the
Right.
fireworks that we put on for the shows are for the community. They're on
But it's
major
also
holidays.
the community that wants to do this sometimes. So why cannot why can't we allow them to do it? Was it option 2, once every 6 months or whatever it is? No, there's not gonna be too many people that are gonna wanna come spend $2,000 for a permit to do it one time. And if there is, good, hopefully they're gonna do it real safe. But you know what, I haven't done it in forever, but I just don't like to be that we ourselves as a city, we rule, this is what we want, and only we can have fun. Well, we can have fun, everybody else can have fun if it's safe. That's what I'm saying.
Well, they're
And I like to carve out whatever the restaurants should be able to do.
Yeah, I think we all agree on that front, right? I think we all agree on the front.
Correct.
Yes.
But to me,
We're talking about the fireworks that go up.
Let me
in
go for the
lo-
jugular. I make a motion to approve option 1 as set forth in the memo. Plain. Permits only to city-sponsored displays. I make a motion.
do I hear a second? Do I hear a second? It dies for lack of a second.
I would make a motion for option 1 with the carve out that Ike's got to figure out to accommodate restaurants.
Way to go, Mike.
Okay.
Can we have the spotlights turned off on the side of the dais?
Well, then that's kind of similar to option 2. Shouldn't we just go have a quick workshop and figure it out instead of?
Well, we can bring it back. I mean, that's
Yeah.
Can we make, you want a table?
Make a motion to table. Well, the only thing is that the business is, the
They need to
existing
move
business, yeah.
Well, I think,
It sounds like there's a consensus on the restaurant part. I
Right.
think we can figure that out. It's whether we have fireworks.
Exactly.
The
In the
traditional
sky.
type
Well,
of
we-
fireworks. So we'll bring it to a workshop.
And maybe by then I'll be able to convince everybody the city of McAllen should allow fireworks. And that's it.
Thank you.
So you need a table or
Yeah,
just?
table.
Motion to
Oh,
table.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Okay, B is consideration and approval of an ordinance updating the number of members on the Senior Citizens Advisory Board.
Please.
Mayor and Commissioner, the request, nature request is consideration and possible approval of an ordinance updating the number of members on the Senior Citizens Advisory Board. As you know, the Parks and Recreation Department currently has 3 community centers where we do host senior programming. We do have a Senior Citizen Advisory Committee. In the past several years, the committee member are made up of 14 members from our community. In the past several years, we have failed to make or reach quorum, so can't conduct official business. So we're here to see if we can reduce the number from 14 to 7.
So moved.
There's a second. Oh, time out. So do we have consistently have 7, or we're not kicking anybody that is attending?
Correct. So when we looked at the attendance in the past couple of months, we do see a pattern that there are 7 that are continuously showing up. And so we feel comfortable moving forward with those 7s to represent our senior
So
population.
we're shifting the quorum, but not the members.
You're shifting the members from 14 to
members
7.
Okay, so what's going to be the quorum?
Quorum will be 4 now.
4, okay.
Yes, sir.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Thank you.
5A is authorizing the submission of an allocation plan for funds made available by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Yes, Mayor and City Commissioner, Mr. City Manager, the item before you requests approval of the city's allocation plan. This is the framework for Home Investment Partnership Program, American Rescue Plan funding. These funds are intended to address housing and support services for homeless persons, persons threatened with homelessness, victims of domestic violence, stalking, or human trafficking, as well as other vulnerable populations, including veterans. Once HUD approves this submission, we would follow our traditional CDBG process. We would publish a notice informing agencies of the availability of funds. We would accept applications. They would be reviewed by our advisory board. A recommendation would be made and then brought forth for your final approval. So we estimate that this process would begin no earlier than the summer months once HUD accepts our allocation process.
Motion to approve. Make resolution. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Managers report.
Mayor, Commissioners, I'd like to pass on item number A, please, 6A, and go to B, authorization to audit Tres Lagos. This was actually requested through a future agenda item from the commission. It stems from the last time that we changed the percentage that is collected at the TERS at Tres Lagos. There was some discussion at the time about an audit, but since then, it was actually requested by the commission. So we need authorization to move forward as an action if you desire to do so.
Mr. Mayor, on this particular item, we conducted a town hall meeting in Tres Lagos sometime back when it was proposed to increase the PID amount that's assessed on the residents. There was a lot of discussion, vocalization for an audit. I think the issue was more of a transparency, trust kind of issue with regards to some of the services that that area was receiving. I think it would be a good first step to do and build that transparency and certainly the accountability aspect. I think this is good in general, especially since this Board of Commissioners does oversee the TERS, right? And we have one representative on the PID, if I'm mistaken, I think that's the mayor. And my understanding is that I believe, I could be wrong, that the development will supplement or participate in the cost of the audit itself. But nevertheless, I think this goes a long way towards connecting the residents and building accountability and transparency.
Roy, have we been having issues? Are we?
No, not necessarily. I think that the concerns came from some of the citizens that showed up at the I don't know if it was a hearing, but it was the item where the roads specifically requested that we increase from a 20 to a 25% rate of collection, and that came up. And so there was some discussion about whether we should do an audit of Tres Lagos. First, the question was, can we? And the answer is yes. We're authorized to do that through the TERS agreement. And the second question was, should we? And so it was something that was desired by some of the members, but we need the city council to take that action in order for us to do it.
I just need to make sure that, and when we went from 20 to 25, we had presentations, and did our staff go through the numbers? Do they feel comfortable with what we did?
Yeah, we recommended approval at the time, yes, sir.
So this is more community driven.
Right.
And what is an approximate cost for this?
Right.
There was an estimate, Michelle, that we got.
Our finance director estimated that it would be between $10,000 and $15,000, and I have been in contact with the roads, and they have indicated willingness to split the cost with the city.
Okay, let's 10 to 15, I don't have a problem.
I think
you'll give me $100,000 figure, then it's something else.
Be a little more concerned.
I was educated a little bit through, thank you, Assistant City Manager Michelle Rivera. There's different ways about it. It's just not financial, it's also operational. I think there was two or other three ways to look at it. I think we can start on a more simple, maybe just financial, maybe operational aspect. And then I think that would be enough to satisfy the community.
Yeah, I think some of their concerns had to do with the maintenance of the parks out there, and so, that's something that they felt like maybe wasn't being done efficiently, and so I think we can look into those operational issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for the sake of transparency, it does make sense. And even routine audits, even if it's one every 5 years or something, right, could be ordered. And to some extent, it'll provide, we have a lot of faith in the project and the people that have managed it, but it'll provide a tool for them to be able to provide existing residents and new residents, right, once complete. So
Wishes of the commission.
I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carries. Future agenda items.
Those two? Those two there?
All right. Okay.
Start making
Anything new?
Workshop on the drainage.
Yeah, we should be able to bring these two up in the next 30 days.
Okay. We'll recess into executive session.
But they're not on our county jail, which is
Sure. And we're back from executive session. Counselor, what do we have?
Yes, sir, Mayor. With respect to item 7A1, I recommend that the City Commission consider a motion authorizing city manager and city attorney to negotiate and offer the economic development incentives described in executive session.
So moved.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Mayor, with respect to item 7A2, I recommend the City Commission consider a motion authorizing city manager and city attorney to negotiate and offer the economic development incentives described in executive session.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Mayor, with respect to item 7A3, I recommend the City Commission consider a motion authorizing city manager and city attorney to negotiate and offer the economic development incentives described in executive session.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Mayor, with respect to items 7B and C, I recommend the City Commission take no action.
Okay, there being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.
Regular City Commission meetings are held on the second and fourth Monday of each month. Meetings are rebroadcast on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays on the McAllen Cable Network.
Have the workforce to do that, which is go underground. But they are looking to close certain projects, and if he gets the correct personnel, he is open to that, starting both projects. What I think the advantage could be for us is that if we could do both at the same time, we could take advantage of the summer and then run the 240 days as close to concurrent as we can. One of the things about closing both roads and starting both projects